What's up guys, it's Rudizind here and welcome to our very first YuGiOh TCG opening on this channel. Now as you can see, this is a familiar archetype for those of us who actually have been playing Duel Links recently, because Geargias were recently put out in the, I believe it was Valiant Souls mini box, or no, it was a main box in Duel Links. So today I thought I would get my hands on one of the Geargia Rampage Structure Decks from YuGiOh trading card game and open it up and have a look. Because obviously one of the main things about Duel Links is that it does not yet have things like XYZ Summons, which means that the main function of Geargia, which is to get this guy out, is not possible. So, I mean, Geargias have different tactics obviously in Duel Links, but I just want to have a look and let you guys see what kind of things Geargias can do in the main TCG. So as you can see, it gives you the card list on the back, same as all the structure decks. This will be familiar to some of you as the Geargia attacker. But yeah, without further ado, let us get it open. Come on, come on. I believe in me. Yeah, wow, that was seamless. I am proud of me. Okay, so I'll show you what we get in here. It's pretty standard, to be honest. So we get this heap of plastic, as usual. We have the, well, it's the deck list and also how to play this deck. It gives you the main combo, which is actually pretty useful, to be honest. I didn't know about this. I'm not super familiar with XYZ Summons to begin with, but it basically tells you how you're going to get out your big Geargia Gigant XG. So yeah, that's pretty useful. I mean, it's kind of nice because it makes the like the Geargiano monsters actually useful, whereas in Duel Links they are not at all useful in any way. Your main focus is like the Geargianker and the Geargia attacker and stuff like that. So that is that. We also have just a playmat as well, which has, I believe it has all the deck zones and stuff laid out. Oh, I opened it the wrong way. Yeah. So that's kind of nice. Pretty neato. It's actually pretty cool, to be honest. It doesn't actually have the zones all laid out, which is nice because sometimes I feel like it's a bit patronizing. Anyway, so here we have it. So this is the main monster here. I'm actually just going to move this box as well. We have our main monster, which is Geargia Gigant XG. Now, let me just move the focus a little bit. There we go. So you won't be able to see just now because it's in the plastic, but it is a hollow card, which is real nice. It's also got that nice shiny gold writing. So we're just going to open this up so we can have a look. Now I'm willing to say right now that I'm not an expert on the YuGiOh TCG by any means, by any stretch of the imagination, but I do enjoy the TCG and I do think I can give a few useful comments on it. Maybe not many, maybe one or two. So let me just show you what we actually get in this structure deck. It's actually pretty good value, although as is the case with a lot of other YuGiOh structure decks, you do probably have to get 2 or maybe even 3 to make it properly viable. And that's because you only get 1 copy of cards like Geargia Attacker. Also, you don't get any Geargianker, which means that if you do want to play that kind of strat, you're going to have to just purchase them separately. Which is fine, to be honest. I mean, it's not a huge deal. They're probably pretty cheap. I haven't actually checked, but I don't think they're rare cards or anything like that. So, anyway, we have Geargia Gigant XG. Now, I don't even think I'm going to be able to... Oh, I can get it to focus. Hold on, I'll move it even further so I can... Okay, there we go. So it's a machine XYZ effect. You have to sacrifice 3 level 3 monsters. That's not really the correct terminology. You have to place them under it, basically. So during either player's battle step, while an attack involving your machine type monster is occurring, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card, negate the effects of all face-up cards your opponent currently controls. Also, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects. These effects last until the end of the damage step. When this face-up card leaves the field, you can target 1 other Geargia card in your graveyard. Add that target to your hand. This is a crazy good card. I'm sure you can gather from that. That's a crazy good card. Like that ability to be able to negate everything That is crazy. That is really, really good. And as you can see, I can try and get, yeah, you can see the hollow there. Really cool. Really, really cool. So yeah, that is our Geargia Gigant XG. Now we also have a hollow copy of Geargia, which is also in Duel Links. So when this card is normal summoned, you can add one level 4 Earth Machine type monster from your deck to your hand, except Geargia. Also, you cannot declare attacks nor special summon monsters except Machine type monsters for the rest of this turn. So the last ability is really irrelevant in this deck because they're all Machine type monsters because they're all Geargias. But whenever this card is normal summoned, you can add one level 4 Earth Machine type monster from your deck to your hand. So that's actually pretty good. It actually will, if you summon this, it will let you get another material for your 4-star XYZ, which I think is at the back of the deck. Yeah. So, or no, hold on, wait. Yeah, this is the 4-star one. So it'll let you get another material out for Geargia X. Or you can get this itself, I believe. So that's actually pretty useful. It's a good deck searcher in that sense. You maybe probably wouldn't run this over other cards, to be honest, but it is what it is. So we have one of those. There might be more actually, and these are just the foil ones. So we have a hollow Geargia Mark III, and Geargia Mark III's effect is when this card is special summoned by the effect of a Geargia card, you can special summon one Geargia monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position, except Geargia Mark III, but its effects are negated. You can only use this effect of Geargia Mark III once per turn. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this effect, except Geargia monsters. Again, this doesn't really matter because you're going to be only summoning Geargia monsters anyway, so it's not a huge deal. The whole point of Geargia is pretty much you're going to want to get out this guy. You're going to want to use Geargia to search and use your other cards to basically stall and set up for getting your big boy out, for getting your XYZ monsters out. They are going to be your main control in this deck. So really these special summoning the Geargia monsters is going to be basically to the effect of getting out the XYZ bigger cards. Next we have a hollow Geargia Attacker. Nice. This will be familiar to those of you who play Duel Links, but I'm going to read out the effect anyway. Once per turn, you can change this card to face down defense position, and when it's placed flipped face up, you can destroy any number of spell or trap cards on the field up to the number of other Geargia monsters you control. Now, this is even more devastating in the TCG than what it is in Duel Links because there are 5 monster positions. If you have 5 Geargia monsters out, which to be honest is quite unlikely, although you can special summon quite a few with effects like Mark III's, you can destroy basically up to 4 spell or trap cards, which is just redonkulous. I mean, it's the same thing for if you get your hands on Geargia. As I said, Geargia is unfortunately not in this structure deck, which is a bit weird to me, but nonetheless, it could be really, really devastating. And obviously that also counts for your XYZ monsters as well. They count as Geargia monsters, so it's definitely worth remembering. And that is the end of our foil cards, I believe. I don't think there was another one. No, there wasn't. Okay, so we're just going to get into our normal cards now. So, we have 2 copies of Geargia. Geargia's effect is you contribute this card, then turn on 1 level 4 Machine type monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but its effects are negated. So again, just getting monsters out in the field. We have 2 copies of that. We have 2 copies of Geargia Mark II. So we only have 1 of Mark III and 2 of 1 and 2. When this card is normal or flip summoned, you can special summon 1 Geargia monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. Now that is just... there is so much chaining that can go on with this. It's actually ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. Let me just set those there. We have 1 Geargia Accelerator, which will also be familiar to those of you from Duel Links. If you control a Geargia monster, you can special summon this card from your hand in defense position. When this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can turn 1 Geargia in your graveyard, accept Geargia Accelerator, and add it to your hand. This is quite good actually for... It's not very good in Duel Links because it's not fast enough basically. But it's quite good in the TCG because it means you can get another 4-star out quickly to summon your 4-star XYZ. And also... it keeps your graveyard as a resource, which is always a good thing. So next we have Geargia Arsenal, also familiar to those of you in Duel Links. This card gains 200 attack for each Geargia monster you control. You can tribute this card, special summon one Geargia from your deck in defense position, except Geargia Arsenal. If you need a specific Geargia from your deck, then you can also use this, obviously. But the gaining 200 attack is quite substantial. It can get this thing up if you only have, let's say, 2 other cards out there. Okay, we're all good. Sorry, my camera just sort of glitched out a bit there, so we're all good. I saw the software saying not responding and I started to panic. So yeah, it's pretty good. It can get you up to like 2100 very, very easily, especially with all the special summons you can get with Geargias. Then we have Geargia Armor, which I believe is not in Duel Links. Pretty cool artwork on it. Geargias are also cute. Like I love that they just like form a part of all these different monsters. So Geargia Armor is mainly a defense position monster, as you can see. Once per turn, you can change this card to face down defense position. When this card's flipped face up, you can add one Geargia monster from your deck to your hand, except Geargia Armor. That is a really, really good effect. And also, it is 1900 defense. That is really, really good. This is definitely one of the ones that you want to have in your deck. This is one of the reasons to basically buy several copies of this deck. And we're back again. Sorry about that. I've just restarted my webcam. Hopefully it will stop being so bad. It's really frustrating me. So we have, I believe, 2 copies of Green Gadget. We have 2 copies of each of the colored gadgets. So we have, when this card is normal special summon, you can add 1 red gadget from your deck to your hand. So that's 2 of those. And then the red gadget is the same effect, but you add the yellow gadget. And the yellow gadget is the same, but you add the green gadget, as you can see just there. Now the green gadgets, or sorry, not the green gadget. The gadgets are used in several different ways in this deck, and there are different ways to use them in other decks as well. One of them is for Ancient Gear Gagiltron Chimera. Hope I didn't butcher that name. So, it's quite a long effect, but it is worth reading. This card gains corresponding effects if you normal summon it by tributing these monsters. So Green Gadget gains 300 attacks, so it becomes 2600, which is pretty formidable. Red Gadget, when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent by a direct attack, inflicts 500 damage to your opponent. So that basically gives it 500 extra damage when you attack directly. And Yellow Gadget, if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, inflicts 700 damage to your opponent. I think the Yellow Gadget one is the best one, but obviously, it's a matter of the situation and what's going on around you in the duel, but I think that one's pretty good. We also have Ancient Gear Gagiltron Dragon, and this is a larger one. This is an 8-star monster, but there are cards to help you get this out with only 1 if you need to. So if this card attacks, the text is so small in this. If this card attacks, your opponent cannot activate any spell or trap cards until the end of the damage step. So that's kind of like the other Ancient Gears as well, like Ancient Gear Golem. The card gains corresponding effects if you normal summon it by attributing these monsters. So green is, you get piercing on defense position monsters. Red is when this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, inflict 400 damage to your opponent. And yellow is if this card destroys an opponent's monster, inflict 600 damage. Is that 600? It's so small. Yeah, it's 600. So this is going to be pretty good. If you manage to tribute 2 of the gadgets, this thing is going to be really, really, really powerful. Really, really powerful. There are other cards. There's a card in this deck which will help you get it out for less. It'll help you get it out for only 1 tribute, which is pretty good, not going to lie. Next, we have 1 copy of Jumbo Drill, which says, when this card is normal summoned, you can increase the levels of all machine time monsters you can control by 1. If this card attacks a defense position, inflicts piercing, and if it attacks, it's changed to defense position at the end of the damage step. So it has piercing, which is nice, but also you can increase the levels of all machine time monsters by 1. So if you're wanting, for example, to get out that level 4 XYZ, you can do it using this guy if you only have, for example, the Geargiano cards out, which are all level 3. So pretty good. Next we have Minefield Driller. I think we only have 1 of these. Minefield Driller says, when this face-up card you control leaves the field and is still in your possession, you can target 1 field spell card in your graveyard, add that to your hand. There is a field spell for this. Spoiler alert. So if you basically just put this in defense position, I mean, you can get your field spell back if they attack it. It's pretty simple, but it's not the best card, to be honest, but it is there. Next we have one copy of Card Tripper. Generally there's only one copy of each of these cards, except for the two Geargia Mark 1 and 2 and the gadgets. I think there's maybe only one copy of every other card. Let me just check the back again. Okay, so there's two more of a monster card coming up and two of the field spell. But apart from that, there's only one card of each of these. So Card Tripper, which says once per turn you can choose a number from 1 to 3, then send that many cards from the top of your deck to the grave. This card gains 500 for each card sent to the grave this way until the end of this turn. If this card you control is destroyed and sent to the grave, draw one card. Pretty good card, although it does send things to the grave, so there isn't a great deal of graveyard usage in this deck, although there is some, as we've seen before in some of the other cards. For example, Geargia Accelerator, which brings a monster back from the grave and adds it to your hand. But still, I mean, you can make a 1900 attack basically for free by milling cards, which is not so bad. We have one copy of Swift the Scarecrow. Now this is actually a really good card, just in general, and I've never even heard of it before, which is alarming. Also, the artwork is really cool. Look at that. Really cool artwork. Anyway, when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, you can discard this card, negate the attack, then end the battle phase. This is a quick effect. That is absolutely redonkulous. You definitely want to have 3 copies of this card. Absolutely want to have 3 copies of this card. That effect is basically Sphere Karibu, but better. Sphere Karibu is maybe good situationally when you need to change a monster to defense position to be able to get rid of it. For example, if you don't have enough attack power to get rid of it. But like, you can end the battle phase. You literally end the battle phase on the first attack. That is redonkulous. Redonkulous. I'm pretty sure you can't negate it, because it's a quick effect and also it's a monster from your hand. I don't believe that can be negated. That is a really, really good card. You definitely want to have 3 Swift Scarecrows in your deck. Next we have Oilman. I'm pretty sure Oilman is in Duel Links, but anyway. Once per turn you can either target one machine time monster you control, equip this card to that target, or unequip this card and special summon an attack position. While equipped, if the equipped monster destroys a monster by battle, draw one card. A monster can only be equipped with one union monster at a time. So, it doesn't give you any attack, it just lets you draw. So you can attach it to get more drawing power, pretty much. Not a great card, but it's still there. This one is probably better in my opinion. Okay, my webcam software is really playing up today. I'm hoping it's going to work right now. So, this is the Heavy Mech Support Platform. Once per turn you can either target one machine time monster you control, equip this card to that target, or unequip this card and special summon it, same as the Oilman. While equipped by this effect, the equipped monster gains 500 attack and defense. And it's the same as you can only use one union monster at a time. I think this is pretty good compared to the other one. I mean, being able to draw a card when you attack is really, really good. But you have to destroy a monster by battle, which is not always possible with this deck. There aren't a lot of high attack monsters, to be honest. Next, we have one of the only 2 things that we have 2 copies of, which is Giant Rat. So, Giant Rat says, when this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Earth monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck in attack position. Really, really good card in this deck, because obviously all of your Geargias all of them are Earth. Every single one are Earth. So you can special summon any one of them at all, and it's going to really help you with getting out your low attack Geargias to pretty much, set up for your XYZs again. The whole deck revolves around that, really. Obviously there are other strategies which you can use, but they involve getting other cards that aren't in this structure deck. So we have 2 copies of the Giant Rat, and then we have our last card, which has 2 copies, Gear Town, which is the field spell for this deck. So, Gear Town says, both players can normal summon ancient gear monsters for 1 less tribute. When this card is destroyed and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 ancient gear monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard. Wow. I actually forgot about the second effect of this. That is absolutely crazy. Both players can normal summon ancient gears for 1 less tribute. So your dragon Your Geargia Dragon, yeah, you can summon that for 1 tribute, and it is a 3000 attack monster. And moreover, if you have another one in your deck, when this card leaves the field, if it does leave the field, you can special summon that. That is actually crazy. That's a really, really good field spell. You definitely want to have 3 of these, probably, in case they have ways of getting rid of them, because that's a really good card. Now we have 1 limiter removal, a quick play spell, which says double the attack of all machine type monsters you control with both the activation and resolution of this card until the end of this turn. During the end phase, destroy those monsters. So if you want to go for lethal, this is going to help you out. Although if you're not going to get lethal, if you're unsure about some face downs or things like that, if you're not able to use the effect of Geargia Attacker to clear back row, I wouldn't use this. You're going to kill basically all of your monsters to use this, which is not very good if you're not actually going to win the game, you know. Next we have 1 continuous spell, Machine Assembly Line. All machine type monsters on the field gain 200 attack. Each time a face-up machine type monster on the field is destroyed in the battle or card effect, which is interesting. Place 2 junk counters on this card. You can send this card to the graveyard, then check on 1 machine type monster in your grave whose level is less than or equal to the number of junk counters that were on this card. Special summon that target. That's a pretty good card. I like continuous spells that have 2 effects. So not only do all machines gain 200 attack, so if you have a Geargia Attacker out, that is 2100. That's really good for a 4-star, that is. And then if you end up getting, let's say, 8 junk counters on this, you can special summon your YuGiOh Dragon again, which is really good. Pretty good card. Next we have a classic card, which when I saw it, when I opened another version of this structure deck, I nearly cried. I was like, this card just brings back so many memories for me. So Fissure, the spell card, says destroy the one face-up monster your opponent controls that has the lowest attack, your choice if tied. So that's a pretty good card. In a similar fashion, Smashing Ground says destroy the 1 face-up monster your opponent controls that has the highest defense, your choice if tied. So these two do a similar kind of thing. Yeah, I'm gonna set those up here. Next, we have a card which I've been trying so desperately to get in Duel Links, but have not been able to pull. Double Summon. So you can conduct 2 normal summons or sets this turn, not just 1. Really, honestly, you really want this. You want 3 copies of this card. This is a really, really good card in Geargia decks. Even in Duel Links, it's a really, really good card for Geargia decks. Pretty much, what this allows you to do is, if you are able to summon 1 Geargia, and then special summon 1 with that, and then normal summon another one, you can get enough for your big Geargia in 1 turn with double summon, which is really, really, really good. Also, there are other effects, obviously, which we have from various spells and traps, which will revive things from the grave, which is really, really good also. Anyhow, that is double summon. You really want 3 copies of that, as I said. Then we have Creature Swap. Each player chooses 1 monster they control and switches control of these monsters with each other. They can't change their battle positions for the rest of this turn. So that is not a quick play spell, so you have to activate it on your turn. It's going to be really useful for you though if you're in a tough spot and let's say they have a really big monster out and you can't overcome it, because Geargias, they are great but they do have their downfalls, to be honest. This can help you get over it, which is really nice. Getting close to the end now, we have Terraforming. Add 1 field spell card from your deck to your hand. I'm not sure I would even run this card, to be honest. Like, you have to really... The thing about YuGiOh, in Duel Links and also in the TCG, is you need deck efficiency. You need to guarantee that whenever you draw cards, they're going to be totally useful. If you draw a card that just says add the field spell to your hand, and you already have the field spell in your hand, this is a dead card. You know? This is completely useless. So, I'm not sure that I would run this card in the deck, but it is there nonetheless. And now onto our traps. We're almost at the end now. So we have Geargia Gear, which says special summon 2 Geargia monsters from your deck and increase their levels by 1. You can only activate 1 Geargia Gear per turn. Now, as I said before, there are traps that help you get out gear monsters, and this is one of them. This is actually incredible. So if you are able to special summon 2, double summon, normal summon 2, and then special summon another one, with one of the effects, you have a full field of gear monsters. That is absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, then you can work with your XYZ monsters. You could probably get the 2 XYZs out actually, because Gear, that's 3 level 3 monsters for your Gigant XG, and then I think the other one is 2 level 4. So yeah, so 2 level 4. So you could actually get both of your XYZs out on the same turn, which is ridiculous. So you definitely want 3 Geargia gears in your deck for sure. Then we have Stronghold, the Moving Fortress, a continuous trap. Special summon this card in defense position as an effect monster with 0 attack and defense to 2000. It's still a trap card, and while you control a green, red, or yellow gadget, this card gains 3000 attack. What? What? That is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So if you just summon a green gadget or any of the gadgets, this card gains 3000 attack. That is actually crazy. That is a ridiculous card. You definitely want 3 of this in your deck. Now we have Metal Morph, familiar to those of you in Duel Links. Basically boost your attack. Target one face-up monster in the field. Equip this card to that target. It gains 300 attack and defense. If it attacks, it gains attack equal to half the attack of the attack target during damage calculation only. Pretty useful for getting rid of big monsters. You can basically gain half of their attack and just take them out with their own attack force, which is pretty cool. Definitely a useful card. And then we also have a rare Metal Morph, which is a... yeah, it's odd actually. It's a continuous trap, whereas Metal Morph is just a trap. So activate this card by targeting one machine type monster on the field. It gains 500 attack. Once, negate a spell effect that targets that monster. When the monster leaves the field, destroy this card. So it does let you negate a single spell, which is pretty good, because obviously one spell can get rid of your monster. But it would be nice if it was negate spells, but I realize that would be too OP, so. And the penultimate card in the deck, the last trap, is Rollout. Target one Union monster in your graveyard, equip that target to a monster you control that would be an appropriate target for the Union monster's effect. This can definitely save you from being destroyed, basically. You can target your, I can't remember its name, is it platform? Yeah, heavy mech support platform, and attach it to something. It'll gain 500 attack, and it can basically keep it from dying, which will hopefully help you. I'm not sure, is it till the end of the turn? No, it's just permanent, so it'll just attach it, permanently, which is pretty good. And finally, we have Gear Gigant X. Now, this is the 4-star version of our 3-star Gigant XG. So, as you can see, it's 2300 and 1500. Let me get it to focus. Okay, there we go. So, once per turn. Oh, yes, so it's 2 level 4 machine type monsters. So, as I said, because this is 2 level 4s and the other one is 3 level 3s, you can definitely get these out on one turn. Once per turn, you can detach one XYZ material from this card, add 1 level 4 or lower machine type monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. When this card leaves the field, you can target 1 level 3 or lower Geargia monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. This deck is all about circulation, like keeping the deck flowing, keeping the graveyard available as a resource. You can just constantly add cards to your hand, also special summoning them as well. It's going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough to get over this deck, honestly. I still think even like cards in Duel Links that are useful for Geargia decks are things like Ties of the Brethren, stuff like that. And honestly, I think if you did have Ties of the Brethren, it would also be really good in a YuGiOh TCG version of this deck. I'm just going to change the focus right here. So, that is going to wrap it up for this structure deck opening for the Geargia Rampage Structure Deck. If you've enjoyed this, please feel free to leave a like and a comment down below. And also press that little red subscribe button as well. We'd really, really appreciate your support. But without further ado, my name is Rudizind, and thank you guys so much for watching. See ya.